Hello, everyone. Thank you guys so much for coming to episode 3 of Growing Your Wax Biz with Brazil Waxes. This is our special guest today is Kelly Dalton. She's the owner of Kalypso's Wax Studio. I hope I'm saying that right. And Kelly and I actually met, I want to say, 4 or 5 years ago. Was it the Philly
Yeah, I think
show?
it was about 4 years ago in Philly.
In Philly. Yes,
Yep.
which is a trade show. So tell me a little bit, Kelly, about your business, how you got started, how you got introduced to Brazil, and then what you've been doing since.
Great. So I started in July of 2016, and I had separated from another very well-known salon in my area. While I was working for them, I want to say probably in March or April, I came across Brazil Waxes, and I fought to the death to try to get them to order me some cans. They weren't interested. So their price point was a little bit different for what they were planning with their business. So fast forward to May, June, July, things were up and running. I had this very large business. I went into it thinking or hoping for lots of employees and all that good stuff, you know, the salon that you dream of.
Yes.
Aesthetically, I had it. It was a beautiful space. I would say that I worked a little bit out of my means, thinking that this is what I needed to be successful.
Yeah.
So I will say for the first probably 2 to 3 weeks, I used a different wax line, the one that I had taken with me from the previous salon, because that's what I was comfortable with. And my main goal was to switch everything to Brazil, effective immediately, you know?
Wow.
So we budgeted it in and the waxes came. Now I personally was only trained in soft wax where I came. So I ordered my 7, my latte, my honey. I used it on everyone. I probably used it wrong for the first couple of weeks, too thick, too thin, you know. So there was a lot of trial and error with it, but I was like, this is the stuff, you know. And then I got my hands on, I think it was the Funk Buster that made me love you, Stephanie, because it was just like, this lady knows what she's talking about. It gets funky in here. And what a fun name, you know, for my clients to, if they happen to see that bottle. It's not like bleach. We're cleaning the whole place. It's
Right.
Funk Buster. How fun. Like, let me just spritz this and get my last client out of here so I can now bring you in. So I think that it's a weird product, but that was the product I probably bonded with the most. I really love essential oils, and I'm a dirty little hippie. So if I can spray Funk Buster on my feet after work and head over to the concert downtown, we're good, you know?
Yeah.
So once you had lavender and lemongrass, I'm like, sold. So then I started incorporating some of the other waxes. Now I use violet pretty much exclusively. That's all my ears, nose, underarms.
Yes.
I prefer it for happy trails.
Yes.
So violet, and I'm like, it's neat because the wax is so easy to use. I literally taught myself how to use hard wax with Violet. So Violet's my girl now. That she's, you know, and she's always treated me well. Yeah, I have to say there's, you know, on my way here, I was thinking, okay, well, so what are we going to talk about? And as a business owner, the scariest part is hurting someone.
Absolutely.
So the wax that I took with me from the last place, they were sticky, they pulled skin, you know, and where I was working, that was normal. That was, you put some stuff on here, go home, you'll be okay in 4 or 5 days. So, yes.
Okay.
So I pulled that first strip of 7 off of someone, and I'm like, this is beautiful. They're not red. They're not irritated. They hopped off the table like I barely just touched them. So, and I think, to be honest with you, I didn't know about the cotton strips at that point either.
Yes,
So,
I remember that conversation.
yes. So I was unaware. The wax was still working beautifully. But I'm like, what is this lady talking about? What is this magic, you know, piece that I'm missing? And lo and behold, it's the cotton strips. So yes, those come to me on bulk now because I would even use those for a different wax if I had to. You know, I live in upstate New York, so sometimes our weather could postpone shipping, you know, all of that. But as long as I have my cotton strips, I am good to go. So, yep, so we switched over to all Brazil at the salon. I bought all of the soaps. I used everything on myself first as my trial and error.
Yes.
And really I have two sisters, so they've used everything as well. And it was just kind of like, let's talk about this. And when we got together to talk, there wasn't a whole lot to say except all good results. So no one was saying, yeah, I'm still getting ingrowns. That wasn't part of the conversation. So to
Wow.
me, that was just kind of, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Wow.
So yeah, so I only use Saberzo for
You've
literally
been a
everything.
big advocate of our post wax.
Yeah,
And in our waxing esthetician group, you are constantly telling estheticians, especially the ones that do Brazilians, why are you not retailing the personal bar? Why are you not retailing any of the Say Brazil? And people always
right,
question you, and you're so great with responding and just saying, I use what works. And
right,
I love that because you're so honest with estheticians, because I think this is one thing that I try my hardest to explain to a lot of estheticians. You will increase your revenue if you retail. And the
right.
retail I do is very specific. It is for waxers. We're not talking about, facials or anything like that. It's really post hair removal. And you always are in there saying, the personal bars are the only thing I go to. You had a cute little gnome with the little pictures I
Oh,
reposted in our private group. And I said, you really understand the retail. Now, were you retailing before? Like, was the other salon you were at retailing anything specifically for your waxing customers?
yes, but a lot of it again was scented, was just
Oh,
aftercare that I didn't agree with.
yeah,
Part of the reason I love women's waxing specifically is women's health is huge, and it's
absolutely.
avoided. No one wants to talk about their vaginas, but I
Yep.
do.
Yep.
So I have a problem saying, I think your pH is a little bit off here, and it's because you're using this.
Yep.
Or, it's something as simple as your shampoo running down your back and
Yep.
getting to where it shouldn't be. So me personally, in my shower and all of my clients, what we do is we wash our hair first, get all those chemicals all over you, and you finish off with the personal bar, because
Yep.
that's the last thing that I want touching their bits.
Yep.
um, so when I do hop on there and say it, it's almost like I try not to come off as snarky, because it's common sense. And that goes for any product that any business owner has. You wouldn't sell one thing and hope that, a different battery would work in it.
Right.
Everything is cohesive and it's all a package. I can talk to my clients till I'm blue in the face about the perks of it. And what it comes down to is it's like, it's because I said so. I
Right.
used this wax. Now you're going to use this soap, because
Right.
they were made as a pair.
Yes.
So it's retail I'm still kind of awkward with. I don't like talking about money with people, so I am kind of strange, but it's more of a, you need this. There's no question about it. So even now, with some of my newer clients, I have raised my price and I am including a personal bar,
Look at you.
because I don't want to deal with people who aren't going to use my stuff.
Well, I think
So,
that's you really hit it on the nail. We did our free training. I do my free retail training, and I really say, if you're not a strong retailer, include it in the price of your service and give it to them. You could
yeah.
even, we have so many retail products, you could actually do one product per month that's
Oh,
different.
yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, what I
people,
love to take you up on always is the sale in January, your little hearts.
yes,
I
sample
mean,
sale.
yeah, that's just like killer. So what I do is I buy a ton of them, and if I can tell someone's hesitant, well, let me let you try it. So they think I'm really going above and beyond,
Absolutely.
and I guess I kind of am, because I am that concerned, and I've have had the conversation with people. You're not going to get the results you're looking for if you don't do what I say.
Yeah.
And at the last salon that I worked at, we did have somewhat of that attitude, but there wasn't the same confidence behind it.
Got it.
It was like, here is this, I'm trying not to use names, this
Yep.
aftercare product that is jam-packed with alcohol, and I want you to put this all over, and if it burns, that's good. That means it's working. That's what
Wow.
we literally used to tell them. So now, an Ouch Bomb is also one of my favorites. That's
Yes.
my son's diaper rash cream. So we
Yes.
have the back bar size at home. So
Yes.
we don't use little retail ones at home. He's got his own jars. They're in the diaper
Oh,
bag. And my favorite part is my boyfriend now has seen the results of it. he doesn't really get to weigh in much on what I like to put on the baby's
Of
skin.
course.
I'm mama and I say
Yeah.
what goes. So, but he has seen the results now and he'll say, where's the ouch bomb? And I'm like, oh, Stephanie Laynes would love you for that, and the one day I think the baby was with his mom and she had asked, did you pack Neosporin? He hurt his toe or something. My baby goes in his bouncer chair all the time
Ah.
and he stubs his little toes and gets these blisters on his little toes because he's just having so much fun. We ouch bomb it, put a sock on and he's good the next day. So she had asked for Neosporin and Corey, came forward and was like, oh no, we use this other stuff. It's ouch bomb. So he just thinks he's so cool that he knows our retail, which is
So
awesome too.
cute.
But yeah, so ouch bomb I use on literally everyone. I will say I've been in business just over 3.5 years, so using the products just about the same. The only person I ever had complain about the ouch bomb had a yeast infection afterwards. And she hemmed and hawed and we talked about it and went over what it could be and couldn't be. It was not my fault. We use ouch bomb on her all the time now with no issues. So I literally have never had a complaint. I don't do facials or really deal with too much skincare, I would say. Waxing is my main thing. And I retail it for eczema and whatnot all the time. I do listen to the trainings, so
Yes.
I pick up on that kind of stuff and I can work it into my business without doing the work. So,
Yes.
I might recommend them to a different esthetician, but I send them with their ouch bomb to go see her.
Right.
So it's neat because that's a whole facials and all of that is a whole nother service I don't provide, but I can still sell according to what our skin needs.
How did you get from doing everything to really focusing on waxing? Because there's a lot of estheticians that I find that really don't understand the correlation of very little investment, huge, big return, and consistency, because you wax everyone year round. Like you really have everyone
Oh
dialed
yeah.
in. They're not coming you don't have a lot of seasonal people, and everyone does, but
No.
that's not your main. Your main is day in and day out waxing. So can you tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about how you really structured your business to be sustainable all the time? And then your
Sure.
clients used to always coming in no matter what the season is.
So I did start as a cosmetologist.
Okay.
I did hair for probably so I went to cosmetology while I was in high school. So I have had my license just about 12 years now. I'm 30. So I did hair for probably 3 or 4 years. Then I became a barber. So I was doing barbering.
Oh, wow.
Then I actually got my heart broken and the guy sort of double dog dared me and said, what are you going to do with your life? And I said, well, watch what I'm going to do. And so I came back with like this revenge. And in my mind, it was, what's the least amount of work that's going to provide me the most money? And what's different? I'm okay with touching booty holes. Not
Right.
a lot of people are.
Right.
I don't,
No, very
like,
much. Yeah.
I can, speak about vaginas and issues that people have. And a lot of people aren't comfortable with that.
Yep.
So it was this niche that to me, it was like, that makes sense. I should do something like that.
Wow.
Well, luckily at the time, that salon that I came from, she had just put on Craigslist, basically the day I broke up with this man, that she was looking for someone, you didn't have to have experience, she was willing to train.
Wow.
So in my town, she is the home of the 10-minute Brazilian. That's what she's known for. So I trained with her for probably a year, but when I walked in, I'm 4'11" and, probably 195 pounds right now with baby, but I'm stocky. I'm short and stout. I have muscles like you wouldn't believe. Excuse me. One thing I joke about, my mom and I can move, an entire living room with no problem. We're strong. So I'm like, okay, what can I be good at? I'm done blow drying. That I was really killer at blow drying because I could hold my arms up that long. But with the waxing, it was the ripping that was, or not ripping, but the pulling that was so important. You need to get it out by
Yes,
the
you
root.
do.
So when my previous boss met me, she said, you're going to make me a lot of money. I had the personality for it. And so I trained with her for about 4 years when I finally had enough. And what I like to tell estheticians and cosmetologists is if you're in a bad situation, kind of feel it all out, see what you can get from it before you leave. With that one, I did burn that bridge, but I have zero regret about that bridge. It was toxic and it needed to go. But
Mm.
while I was there, the first year I learned all my technique, all my skill. I practiced on thousands of people. And this woman, she had gotten to a point where she didn't need to work that hard because she had me working hard for her. So I got to
Wow.
practice the most disgusting Brazilians. I got to practice, people that had 3 hairs. I literally, I did it all. I took over the section of the men's waxing. So I was the only one at her salon who was doing men's waxing. And I believe at the time, maybe one of like 4 to 5 girls in my city who would take men for waxing. So that was my special.
Wow.
And that's looking back now, violet would have been a beautiful option, but I was using this very sticky wax and they wanted it done in 10 minutes.
Of course.
So I hit my breaking point with that, where I said, I'm going to hurt someone. My license is in jeopardy here. I need to look out for myself. If I'm making her this much money, I could be making this much money.
Yes.
And so at the time I was still doing lash extensions, and that was sort of my specialty. But I started mentioning to these women, hey, let's do your brows while you're here. Or have you ever had your butt crack waxed? And I would just sort of add things on. And then I realized I could be in a room with someone for 10 minutes and make $75, or I could be in a room with someone for an hour and make $45.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I am not the world's best businesswoman. I just have a passion for what I do. And if you step back and take a minute and really think about yourself, I'm only in business very selfishly. It's because I want to do what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
So, for example, today's Wednesday. I'm off. Normally, we go to a baby meetup group on Wednesday mornings,
Aw.
and I take off. And this is an administrative day for me. So, but there's not many people I know that can just change their schedule to whatever it is. So that was my main goal with business. How I got to waxing, alone was, again, just money, simple number crunching.
Yep.
And then once I found Say Brazil, I somewhat follow the 7-minute Brazilian technique. Not quite.
Yes.
Learned my 10-minute one, and then I learned yours. So mine's like my own little mush of everything.
Yeah.
I do book like usually 20 minutes to a half an hour per client, and being pregnant, that's what I'm comfortable with.
Of course.
But my books are full. So I did just raise my prices to kind of weed people out. I've hit my max capacity with who I can take on.
Oh, wow.
Going back, so when I first opened, that woman was not that happy with me because I did have about 400 people come with me to
Whoa.
open. Yeah. So, and that's why I had pictured this large scale salon. In stepped Stephanie Laynes. We had an issue with one of my employees.
Yes, I remember.
Who, was really disrespectful, and not just to people she didn't know, but to me as well. And I had to take the step back again and say, why am I working for myself? And it was not to be babysitting. That was, the last thing I wanted to do was worry about someone else's money, I could not keep doing that. So once I broke ties with my employee, I had 2 or 3 along the way. I downsized. I'm in a totally different space now. I don't need a receptionist. I do all of that myself. I don't use cleaners. I can do all of that myself. Pregnant, I do treat myself to a cleaner once a month. But
right, of course.
Yeah. So once I downsized, it was like the cash flow just kept coming at that point. And so again, to sit and do lashes or to do waxing, what made more sense to me. So the waxing has really taken over. Again, I tell people a lot of times it's a niche thing. Not everyone can do what I do, and they can't do it as well as I do.
Yeah.
Because I practice all day, every day. Every client that comes into me is still practice. Whether I'm having to hold a thigh a different way than my previous person, every single person I approach like it's a brand new Brazilian to me. I still get nervous for every single one. And I think as soon as I lose that nervousness is when your ego takes over, and then you start to have issues or cracks in the foundation. So as long as I get myself hyped up every single time and focus on every single hair being removed. So I have a lot of women who, I don't want to say like cheat on me because I don't like that term. I understand sometimes
They
I'm not
explore.
available. They explore. So they'll explore at the hairdresser. So and then when I break it down to them and say, well, she just put highlights on your head. That's what she's good at. She just, she probably placed 150 highlights beautifully because that's what she does all day long. You really threw her off when you asked for a Brazilian. She had no idea how to approach it. So for me, I didn't apply those highlights all day, but I did pull out body hair all day long. So I really, like I said, it's a niche. For me, it makes no sense to add other services at this point, because it is just, there's money there, there's a market there. And again, it's a no-brainer. I am Italian and Irish. I can't shave. It's not an option. My skin is angry, angry.
Yes.
So I got to the point where I had to choose razor bumps or hair. Which one's cuter? Which one do I feel sexier or cleaner with? Well, neither. So I needed another option. And that's, again, where I was waxed, and it was like, what has been missing my entire life,
Wow.
So yeah, I'm so passionate about it. And I think I said too, because of the women's health thing as like my
Yes.
thing, I don't sell my services based on sex. I don't think it makes sex any better. There are plenty of people who will have sex with you if you're hairy. I wish I didn't wax my armpits yesterday because my boyfriend still loves me. So
Right.
it has nothing to do, for me, when I am selling my service, it has nothing to do with sex. It's all about the hygiene. It's all about your own personal awareness,
Yes.
So I think that that's like huge, huge when it comes to waxing. So I can speak with a passion about it.
When you're talking about women's health, what have you seen over your time waxing? Because I agree with you. I think there's a lot of women that don't understand them bodies. They don't understand how even toilet paper can throw off their pH. They don't understand cleansing. And when I say cleansing, I mean cleansing, like really simple understanding of that. As a waxer, we are in those areas, and I find a lot of estheticians will not have those conversations at all.
Right.
Women's health, in my opinion, is something, again, we really just don't talk about. And it's sad to me that we have so many waxers and estheticians who wax in that area that say nothing. And
Yeah.
then you have
Yeah.
women that come in and they're like, well, what do you mean? And
The
I'm
last
always
lady
mind
said it
boggled.
was, yeah, yeah. One of my favorite stories is actually a woman. She was a few years older than me, probably 35, and I'm waxing her, and she's wonderful, and she's trusting everything I'm saying. And she mentioned something about how the wax, she said, oh, I feel that on my labia with a D. She really thought it was spelled Ladia. And this is an intelligent woman. This was, I believe oh God, what was her job? Pharmaceutical sales or something that my mind was blown. And I'm like, what a cute name to call it Ladia. And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, you're referring to your labia, right? And she had no idea that she was mispronouncing it. Right. And it was just that lack of knowledge. It was sad. It was sad that she's never read a diagram or seen a picture where it's pointing out, we say vagina as the quick term, but I do refer to people's vulvas, and they're very confused by that.
They are.
And, and it's, then you get into this whole, which part is which? So I almost do like little health lessons, kind of, I would say.
Absolutely.
What have I seen? So there, unfortunately, is a lot of fecal matter. So that one always drives me nuts.
Yes.
And again, I feel like that's where people are uncomfortable with themselves. Get all up in there. It's your booty to wipe,
Do you think that that's a and I have had this discussion before with other women. Do you think this is something because our parents, specifically our mothers, don't educate us?
Yeah,
Or do you think
I would
it's
say,
generational?
that's actually a great question. I don't think it's generational necessarily. I think it's how comfortable you are with women in your life. So again, like my mom is born again Christian. When I told her I was becoming a waxer, she actually asked if I was turning into a lesbian, because why would I want to see that many vagina,
Yes.
it blew. But my older sister specifically, she actually just had a labiaplasty done. So she is someone who we've always talked, like, what does yours look like?
Right.
Or just toilet paper gets stuck to you the way it gets stuck to me.
Right.
So, with my sisters and those women in my life, I've been able to have open conversations, but with my mom, not at all.
Yeah.
So this is something that I think I sort of picked up along the way. But what I do see is, yeah, like I said, people just aren't comfortable with themselves. They won't just look at it, or, I mean, the amount of people that I do have tell me, I just came from the shower, and then I get to that inner labia section and there's
Yeah.
gunk.
Yes.
What were you doing in the shower?
You didn't. You let it walk. It ran over. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you do while you were in there? Because you didn't prepare to come see me for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
So yeah, I would say I've just seen very standard discharge
Yeah.
poop, you
Yeah.
know. At the previous location, I saw a lot more people in a shorter amount of time. So I wasn't able to educate or stop them dead in their tracks either. There was one girl who, as soon as she took her pants off, I knew something was going on.
Yeah.
And I did refuse service. I actually got in trouble for it that day for refusing service. But she ended up having a bacterial infection on top of the yeast infection.
Of course.
And
We
you
knew.
can't really take yeast for anything.
Yeah, you can't.
So as soon as I saw it, I said, I can't touch you. Your skin will literally shred off of your body right now
Yep.
if I do anything to you. So it was just really sad, though. She had no idea. I have no idea how long this young girl, she had to be 22, 23, how long she was walking around with a yeast infection thinking it was normal, Now that I do have my aftercare, it's way easier to say, hey, go scrub your ass before you get here,
Yeah.
use this personal bar right before you see me
Yep.
and you'll be golden.
Yep.
So that, my business too, I would say I joke a lot. That's how I get my point across to people. So if I give them a little nudge and a laugh, they know I'm not kidding. I'm saying it so that I'm not hurting their feelings.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it still gets the point across.
Yes, because
So,
you have to.
yeah.
People, they get so worked up, and it's funny. I always remember, I just gave Celine her first little bikini wax, and so she is just over the top, honey. I mean,
Right.
and of course, being my daughter, she's just like, well, mom, are you gonna get my booty strap? No.
Well, and being a little dancer, I was a dancer.
Yes.
So having the leotards and having this bush stick out.
And
So
they talk
good
about
for you.
grooming. Yes.
Right.
And
Right.
she came to me like, Mom, we talked about underarm hair and we talked about, hair, making sure it's there. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll wax. And we've been waxing her I've been doing about 2 years on her underarms and she loves it. And I truly wish I would have started waxing that young. But
Yep.
when I just did it on Sunday and she was just like, oh, Mom, oh, wow. And so now she's like, oh, wow. Are you going to do my butt? No,
Right.
I'm not doing your butt. Well, when you get a little older, we'll go there. And she's like, okay. So are you going to give me like a little skinnier? Because when she was little, I would take her on my appointments and my parents would be over the top, like, you're ruining her.
Right.
How can she see you? And I'm like, my job, no different than you clean teeth and you worked on airplanes. So
absolutely.
She comes to work with me.
Absolutely.
I said, literally, I just lay up there. I'm talking to the girl that's doing me. I look over and say, Celine, you want to come look? She'll look and then go try to look at something else.
And then she's right. Exactly.
And I'm like, it's no big deal. But my mom, oh, how could you do that to her?
Yeah.
It's just hair. It's okay.
So I would say my in-law side of people are a little bit more reserved. They don't quite know the real Kelly. So, but now that I have two, I'm going to have another son. So I'll have sons. And I have said to Corey multiple times, my boys will wear nail polish if they want. Vincent is usually in the room while I'm getting my wax. He's only 8 months old, but to a certain extent, little boys need to know about little girls because we all grow up together.
We do.
And so I always say my boys will have tampons in their backpacks when they're 12 years old. And when that poor little girl gets it on the bus, he's going to be the knight in shining armor that pulls it out and says, it's okay, don't be embarrassed, or put my sweatshirt around you, because there's such a stigma to women's health. And, when I say I do gross waxes, I don't mean gross, I can handle it, but there's some funk that goes on that doesn't need to go on. And if people would just acknowledge this funk, we'd all be okay. No one would have an issue talking about it. But it is very sad how I've seen people that I've offended, I'll say something and they're like, oh, no, that it's not me that you're smelling. Okay, it's myself, whatever. So again, they'll get the little care package at the end. They give them a little wink, like, it's okay. I know that you were just offended, but you're going to use this once and you're going to come back to me because now you trust me. You
Yep.
know, you trust that we can have this open communication. So super important.
And I love the fact that you said that you know you've offended people, but it's not really about offense. I think truly it's about educating and just
Yeah.
making it understanding. And that's the thing that I find very interesting on this side of our business, because we are aware of ourselves. We know when something is off. We get offended when someone else recognizes it off, but we already knew it. And
We already knew.
so really bringing that humanity side to be like, it's okay. I've had
Right.
moments too. And I always tell myself, the reason I came up with Funk Buster was because people funk,
Yeah.
but no one wanted, air freshener, it never addresses funk. Like
No.
when you're a waxer and you have 15 people in your room and their feet are out and their feet stink, or, their butts out, you get a lot of different scents that stay when the
Yep.
person's left. And my whole thing is always wanted someone to come in the room and it's fresh. They never knew someone else was in there. That's the whole reason I created Funk Buster. And everyone loves it and they laugh. And I'm like, but you have a bottle, don't you? They're, oh, hell yeah, I have a bottle. Because,
Right.
even if someone doesn't smell, let's say they smoke or they didn't bathe today, or they're ones that won't wash their hair for a week.
Just came right from the gym, we get those all the
Yeah.
time. Yep.
It's so
So
amazing that, I love that you're passionate about women's health, because I think a lot of waxers they don't want to, it's not the embarrassment part. I think it's just having the conversation. But then I get a lot of people that come to me directly and say,
right,
well, how did you come up with the personal bar? Because we don't have anything that addresses that. To be honest, Summer's Eve and all those washes are not for women's health.
right,
It's
right.
a chemical-based product that's going to irritate, and most people stink by using it because
Yeah,
of the product. And they were
absolutely.
like, oh.
Absolutely. So there was a day, a couple of years ago, I went to the nearest Rite Aid and I bought every single feminine wash. They sit in my office. And when someone gives me a hard time, I pull it out and I say to them, please explain to me why there's red dye going on your clitoris when you're washing yourself in the shower. What is that ingredient doing? And what doctor would truly recommend that? Somebody who's getting paid the big bucks. I'm asking you for $10 for a bar of soap.
Yep.
This doctor is making millions off of putting their little stamp on this. And
Yep.
I respect doctors. I respect modern medicine. I don't respect the way that they educate women.
I agree.
The lack of education.
I agree.
So yeah, I have Summer's Eve. I've got Rite Aid brand. I've got Target brand. The woman thought I was having something funky going on as I'm buying all of these. And I'm like, no, I swear, I own a vagina business. That's
right. I'm just showing what people do.
So it is fun because when I get people who don't know me, now my clients respect me enough. If I tell them to jump, they say how high. But when I get a new client and they fight back and, well, I use Summer's Eve's wipes, I don't know why I smell like this. It's like, it's because of those wipes, but let me show you what I have as an option. You don't have to buy it today. You go use your Summer's Eve, and if that smell doesn't clear up in 2 weeks, I'll see you soon. I'm right here waiting, with my fully stocked retail. So that part is really fun, and that's where I do get, like I said, kind of snarky, kind of mean, because it's like, you're doing something consistently and it's not working, but you're telling me that you smell, or, why does this itch on this day? Well, I'm telling you, and if you're not going to believe me, we can't have this relationship. There's no point in you coming to my business. And that's the fun part about owning business, is that now I can kind of deflect the people who don't respect the craft, because it is a craft and there's a skill. And if I'm going to look at your butthole, you're going to respect me. So,
Well, yeah. And that's, I think you're one of, few that will take that stance, because we see it in
right.
the group all day long, that people are like, oh, I can't fire this person, or, oh,
Yep.
this person's not respecting my time. They don't cancel on time. And the one thing I always say is that I always went into business to really do what I wanted, and to be able to command what I want and
Yep.
work when I want, and to have the feeling that I have to be under a client in order to keep them as a patron never, ever appealed to me. And
Yeah.
I was always that one to be like, you don't have to be here. Like, you don't have to be a client. It's going to be okay. I
Right.
can actually find another esthetician for you, because
Right.
our relationship isn't working well. And it's nothing to you. It's just, I have a certain level of things that I want to do here, and
Yep.
you don't.
Yep.
And I find
And
it
what's
very
interesting
funny.
is, I feel like the more that I'm sorry for interrupting you,
Oh,
but the
no.
more I put out that sort of vibe, the more you're going to get the people that respect you. So I
Yeah.
just, I was looking up like, what are some cool promotions to do this year? I'm drawing a blank. I'm 3 years in, I'm so pregnant and tired. What can I do? So I had typed it into the Facebook search bar, promotions in one of the groups on Facebook. I don't think it was the Waxing Estheticians one that you run, but this news feed pops up, and I'm reading through what people were suggesting, and there was one girl who said she was offering, I think it was $20 Brazilians. And it was like, you poor thing, you poor thing, and poor me for thinking I'm going to get some advice on this news feed right now. I'm smarter than that. So, but it was just so sad, because as soon as you put that out and that's what you have the public think of you, it's hard to break away from that.
It is hard.
So even where I previously worked, she's, I would say, locally famous. She does her thing. Everyone loves her. That's awesome. But there is a very large group who does not like her or respect her, because she's hurt them, she's bruised them, she's pushed them off because it's the 10-minute thing. So that's where I come in, and it's like, you're looking for this respectful client esthetician relationship. Perfect. So am I. You are welcome on my table. If you're somebody who thinks that my favorite is people who call me Friday mornings demanding for appointments Friday and Saturday. Well, first of all, I don't work Saturdays anymore because I don't have to. But if you truly think that you're going to get into a well-run business on a Friday afternoon and you're calling at 11 a.m. and you want to come in at 2, you're a fool, because a good, well-run business is booked. I mean, you can't get in on my Fridays. It's a fact of the matter. And I can absolutely refer you somewhere else. I'm sorry for whatever experience may be in store for you. They may really enjoy it. But for me, it's worth losing that client or that potential client to keep myself surrounded with what I'm looking for within my business.
I love it.
Yeah, it took a while to get to that, though.
Of course it does. Of
Within
course
that
it does.
year, I was gifting everybody everything, and it was just like, that's what I thought I had to do. And then, you start to kind of see like, oh, they canceled the day of the last 3 appointments. Maybe it's time I use my policies. So I had to be walked over a little bit to get where I am now. And now that I have children, my time is so valuable. So nobody can get me to come in on a day off to do anything I don't want to do.
Amazing.
Except you, Stephanie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you and I, Kelly, can talk forever. So I'm going to go ahead and let people, you share everywhere you are, your website, Facebook, Instagram,
Awesome.
and then we'll go ahead and go on, and I'll let you have your day.
Perfect. It was so good seeing you.
I know you
I
too.
will hopefully make it to Texas at some point. If I could ever stop being pregnant, that would be cool.
I know. Your baby's so cute.
Oh, thank you. He's a doll. So we'll come visit soon. If not, will you be at Philly this year?
I will.
Okay, we'll try to make it. We just got back from Philly, and I did not get to go say hello to Nick, and I feel really bad about that.
Yes.
So I need to go see his new space, but maybe in this we'll get to see you then.
Yes, absoltally.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you
your
so
website
much.
is
Kalypso Rock, KALYPSOROC.com. I'm located in Rochester, New York. So it's a little bit cold here right now, but you still need to be smooth for it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. It was good seeing you.
You too.